calls this, because I've been to many Steve Vai clinics, because when we're on tour and there's nothing else to do and he's doing a clinic, I'll just go and sit in the back and drink. But I do listen, and he calls this meditating. So it's like, let's just play with slides. But really, what does that mean? It's not just, that's one way to slide, going up. This is really obvious, dumb stuff, I know, but we got to think about this. It's just going up. What if we go back? Now let's do the motif. Now we got two uses of it. What if we go up and back? And etc. I mean, again, I'm just playing the same 4 or 5 notes, minor, pentatonic, and C. What's the prerequisite? I know where these notes are. You got to know that, right? So that's always something we have to keep in mind. But you see, that's kind of meditating on a slide. What else can you do? It's like bending. We could go with just a bend, with a little vibrato on top, by the way. It's not just a bend. Or we could go bend, release, bend. Right? We could do a rhythmic bend like I was doing before. A pre-bend, release, bend again. Very Gilmore. You know, that kind of stuff. Really awesome. But it's all just a bend. Or my favorite is I call it the sliding bend, or you can call it the bending slide. I'm not really sure, but stuff like that, where I'm just, again, going through the scale, but now love doing that. That's so cool, and it's so easy. Yes, sir.
Can I point out that you're doing that on a 7 1/4 inch radius?
Oh, yes. It is real. It is pretty awesome.
Forget, like that it's,
Yes.
it's not supposed to work like that.
Exactly. And we don't usually bend these bottom strings, but just to show you on a set, because I was skeptical. I had a 7 1/4 inch Strat, and it sucked, and it didn't do this. So happy that has, in my personal Silver Sky, does the same thing. So the consistency is there, as anybody who's a PRS fan knows the consistency is there. Just by the way, just a little side note, I will tell you, just in case, because this is something I heard back there, you know, and I was mentioning it a little bit as well. Sometimes from the factory, any guitar, it's not exactly, you pick up one of these guitars, Jesus, this thing needs some Viagra. You know, you pick up a guitar fresh out of the box. Is it set up for you? Getting a call, sorry. No, it's not. It's not set up for you. So you got to remember that when you're trying out a new guitar, you might have to tweak it a little bit. But the tweaks are very minimal, and it's like I watch some of these shows on HGTV, and they're buying a house, and they go into a house, and somebody says, I can't buy this house. I don't like the paint on the wall. Right? Does that connect where you realize how insane that is? Paint over the wall. It's very simple. Love the house. It might be perfect for you. No, can't buy this. I don't like that shade of blue. It's got to be darker blue. And it's like, again, you can't trust these shows. They're kind of produced, but it makes me want to throw something at my TV. Anyway, it's the same thing with your guitar. You know, these are fresh out of the box. They're not set up for you. They're set up very generally, and they generally feel good. But when I got my Silver Sky, I unboxed it live on Facebook, just because I'm a giant nerd. And immediately I felt some things that I wanted to change, you know. These come with 4 springs. I took the 4th spring out because I don't need all that tension. I don't. So I just moved it over. I put the standard 3 springs in there. This comes with the trem. I'm sure you talked about this. The bridge is flat against the bridge. John. Okay, well, it comes like that. New information coming your way, so, you know, very valuable. The bridge is hard against the body, therefore sustain and resonance as far as whatever. And
Well, and I do a lot of bending and then playing other stationary
Mhm.
things, which if you have a floating trem and you bend,
Sure.
the trem, you know, it goes up too.
Yes.
It's the nature of the beast. So.
Yeah, and that's another benefit of it, but all my guitars, I want a floating trem, just so, and I can't even really do it with this, but not to that degree. When it's floating, you just get basically a vibrato, but with a whole chord. I love doing that. So
It's more touch sensitive.
very, yeah. So I floated the bridge. I lowered the saddles a little bit as well. So I changed the 4 springs to 3, floated the bridge, lowered the saddles. That's all I did, and it plays. I told you, I like to the point where we called ahead and we're like, "Do you have a Silver Sky for Dave?" Because I could play any of these PRSs, and they're all fantastic. But I'm just so in tune with this guitar, and I honestly didn't think I would be. I got it just on a whim. I was like, I love Strats. Let me get one of these. It's got to be great because it's PRS. But I didn't really think how much I would like. Now I'm like. Calling ahead to clinic saying, can you call some customer that happened to have one and ruin his whole night, have him come down so I can stand here and play it, you know? Thank you very much, by the way. But it just sounds so good. So anyway, get back to the motif. Anything you do can be a motif. That's really what I'm just want you to walk away with. So let's kind of, I mean, again, I know you guys have been here a long time. But let's just talk about some phrasing involved. Like I said, it's the musical sentence, so you got to have the mental and physical ability to play short, medium, and longer sentences, but also you got to stop playing as well. So, short phrase. Stop. Put the period on that. Maybe a longer one. Stop. Let it ingest. Enjoy it. Maybe a longer one. That was a bit of a long one, quite a long one, but I'm just thinking of the scale and moving, trying to keep it very in tune with the timing and the subdivision. Maybe I'll do triplets, you know? Track came up, so I'm going to bring up the dynamic. Maybe I'll go to the neck. What didn't I do? I didn't stop, but there's a reason. That section of the track, this track is also about dynamics. In the lesson on Gitobi, I was talking about dynamics. So that track is way up there, and you have to be able to answer the call when the track gets way up there. Or think about it, you're in the part of the solo where it's essentially the climactic section of the solo. The point is to fill the list. It's the one time to fill the listener's ear. That's the purpose of that point. It's like the big action car chase scene in a movie. It kind of keeps going and going. It's so intense. And then the real benefit of that happens when the scene is over, when the track comes back down, and then you start going. Because now all that stuff is just going away. It's all psychological. It really is. It's crazy how it actually works like that. But that's one of the points. So there is a time to kind of push a little bit of that phrasing away, but if you noticed, there's just a lot of one. All I did was I was thinking one motif after another. I mean, and I'm playing fairly low gain here, but I was going. You know, so there were 2 different motifs, and nothing fancy, really nothing fancy at all. But I'm trying to make it just nice and rhythmic, connect with the track, whatever that pulse is, trying to get you, you know, thinking about. sextuplets, 16th note triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And over this track, I love to do this one. And I can't play it backwards, but I can just play it forwards, and that's good enough for me. So there it is, a little bit forwards and backwards. But again, you see our pattern here? I mean, the same minor pentatonic pattern. But you can just milk so much out of it if you start thinking about this kind of stuff. So if you want to play something like that, just real quick, I was playing a simple motif. 3-note groups. I don't remember what I did backwards. Something like that. But it's just that dumb minor pentatonic pattern. But you got to be able to master that kind of stuff first. And that's even way, way, way too much. Just go. Again, nothing fancy, but it just connects very well. So that's a little bit of timing, phrasing, thinking of the musical statement, the pause in there, of course, the prerequisites.